The Strait of Hormuz continues to go at an absolute crawl right now, with only 5 ships passing through on April 28th and only 1 ship through on April 26th. And today there's only been 1 ship through. And in today's video, we have some breaking updates about Trump's next moves with the Iranian conflict, how the financial markets are holding up, because this oil price does not look like it wants to slow down right here. It's on an upward trajectory. We're going to talk about the fertilizer situation, the wheat situation. Why exactly has the UAE suddenly left OPEC as well? There is a good reason behind this. And some pretty dark accusations coming out of Russia as well, plus an absolute ton more. And Trump's, next big move that will probably happen, I would think. We'll talk about that at the end of the video, in addition to gold, silver, commodity prices, and all the important stuff you need to know. So stick around for the whole video to get all the alpha. And guys, let's get straight into it. So oil price looking strong, right? It doesn't look like it's dipping. It does look like there needs to be some magic moves coming out of Trump to suppress this. And the war on Iran seems to be growing stronger. So this is a fresh tweet that only came out moments ago. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says right here, the Treasury Department, through economic fury, has targeted Iran's international shadow banking infrastructure, access to crypto, shadow fleet, weapons procurement networks, funding for terrorist proxies in the region, and independent Chinese teapot refineries that support Iran's oil trade. These actions have disrupted tens of billions in revenue that would be used to fund terrorism. Under POTUS's maximum pressure campaign, Tehran's inflation has doubled and its currency has rapidly depreciated. Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal, is soon nearing storage capacity, which will force the regime to reduce oil production, resulting in an additional approximately $170 million per day in lost revenue and causing permanent damage to Iran's oil infrastructure. Treasury will continue to exert maximum pressure, and any person, vessel, or entity facilitating illicit flows to Tehran risks exposure to US sanctions. So this blockade, this stranglehold on Iran's economy, it's getting stronger, right? We haven't seen any type of diplomatic agreement between Iran and the USA. Trump has upped the ante, saying right here, Iran has just informed us that they are in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they will be able to do. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. As always, we take Trump tweets with a grain of salt, but I would say, overall, obviously, this is causing big economic damage to Iran. You can see the proof right here. Not much oil coming into the Gulf, not much oil going out, as well as other things as well, because it's not just oil. This is fertilizer, and we'll reveal some charts soon, but just have a look at this. We are way down right now. So obviously, this is going to cause a massive impact, and it's a lagged impact on the world economy, but it is coming. It's going to be brutal. And every day this conflict drags on longer. Trump has this balancing act of he's having to suppress the oil prices at the same time. He needs to use lots of tricks to do this. We're going to reveal one of these tricks coming up. But it's just a very, very tense situation. So the Iranians are just, they're turtling in, basically. They're turtling into their country. They're saying, we don't care. Let's just deal with the pain. And they want some type of deal in their direction. Trump doesn't want to do that. And right now we are seeing a massive economic freeze, economic blockade in the Persian Gulf. Now, having said that, look at this. Fertilizer is getting cut big time. So it's way down. The production has fallen 60% since the start of the Iran war. Only 11 fertilizer ships have transited the Strait of Hormuz since the war began, with 44 vessels carrying fertilizer still stuck in the Gulf, and nearly half of them loaded with urea. And, this is 45% of the global urea trade, supplying major agricultural importers, including India, Europe, and Brazil. Global food inflation is set to accelerate, and that is true because we are actually seeing right here, wheat prices are hitting a highest level since 2024. And I only think all this stuff is going to get worse and worse and worse, especially as every single hour Every single day of this conflict, it's so important, and the longer this gets delayed, the worse it's going to be. Now, have a look at this. This has been some pretty interesting news. Breaking: the UAE announces it will be leaving OPEC effective May 1st. This will officially end the UAE's 59-year membership in the organization. The Iran war is redefining the global energy industry forever. So why would they be doing this, right? This is obviously a huge move, 59 years, and they would be doing this with the approval of the US. So is this potentially a Trump hidden move? Let's reveal the speculation right here, and you can see right here, why did the UAE leave OPEC? For those who want it simplified, oil prices are high. Trump doesn't like this at all. He needs a solution. By leaving OPEC, the UAE can produce and export much more oil as it is no longer bound by quotas. This increases the circulating supply. More supply lowers the price of oil globally, at least temporarily. Lowering the price of oil is bad for countries like Saudi Arabia that aren't able to offset it by increasing production, so they get annoyed. In short, this is Trump's plan to manage oil price crises he has created as a result of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Now, that could be, a very legit theory right here, but we're also seeing at the same time, look, the whole Persian Gulf, this is in a massive kind of freeze at the moment, so it is not good. Any way you cut it, it's just a tense situation, but this could be a move for Trump, some backroom dealings to get the UAE out, and then they can just flood the world with oil once those shipping lanes do free up. So we're going to see how that plays out, but it could be a Trump trick right here. We have seen a speech coming out of King Charles, and it's going to give us some secret predictions about where the world is headed, what themes are coming next, what you need to prepare for. So tune into this.
The immediate aftermath of 9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder, through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
So we have right there King Charles calling the US government to prepare for a war with Russia. And one thing, look, this is the war theme that I don't think is going to, decrease anytime soon. So if you just listen to kind of the big policymakers, the really strategic minds, not strategic minds, just the influential people around the world, you're going to see this theme crop up in the next, probably 10 to 20 years, right? War with Russia. So I don't think this war is going away. So you might see a resurgence. You probably will see a resurgence with Russia, right? There's going to be a war with China. So China is probably the biggest threat, right? Because this actually has all the manufacturing tech. It's got the drone tech. It's got the missile tech. It's got the smart people in the country. There's a billion of them. This is probably the number one threat the US is facing. There's probably going to be a war with China. And then you have this kind of hot war with Iran at the moment. So this one hasn't went according to plan. Trump was probably predicting a quick win in Iran. It totally hasn't happened. It's kind of backfired a lot. And but one thing, have a look at this prediction. But before we get to that, actually, let's look at this accusation coming out of Lavrov right here. And he says right here, there is rampant Satanism in European countries. And he just met up with the Iranian foreign minister right here, Saeed Aragachi, in Russia. So you can see him meeting with Putin. And he's meeting right there. And look at this. So this is kind of the formula that is up. So it's kind of like the US, kind of NATO, Europe. They're going to be facing off against Russia, China, Iran. That is the war theme. So I'm not saying this is a good thing or anything like that. I'm just saying this is what will most likely happen because some people out there are very influential, and they some groups out there as well, and they get what they want. So Russia, China, Iran. And we're going to see how it all plays out. But that is one war theme to have on the radar as this conflict goes on longer. But not only that, we are seeing something else in the works. And I do think Trump will probably take this at some stage. And it's going to be this. So breaking, US Senate voted 51-47 to block a resolution that would have prevented Trump from launching military strikes on Cuba, the same Senate that just rejected 5 Iran war powers resolution is clearing the path for another potential military operation, this time 90 miles off the Florida coast. So it's important things to understand from this, guys. The whole US government, it's all pro-war, right? It is definitely the swamp, right? There is no stopping this war beast currently. There doesn't seem to be much political organization against war that I can see, so I think it's probably going to go forward. And Trump needs a victory, right? His Iran situation has been a total disaster. So I'm not going to be surprised if in the future Trump does go for Cuba. So he tries to overthrow Cuba, or kind of conquer Cuba, take out the leadership. And he's probably going to have a lot more success with Cuba than he will with Iran. So he needs another win. How easy he can do this, how well this is all going to be done, we're going to find out. But what you can see is they're kind of clearing the political pathway for him to do that. So if Trump wants a big win, he's going to, potentially conquer Cuba. So he was riding on a high after Venezuela. So Venezuela, the leader got, you guys know, abducted right there, taken over. And so Cuba, very, very close to Florida. Again, very nice country. I've been to Cuba. I've done a trip around Cuba. It's a beautiful place, and I feel like the people are very relaxed right there. And my general vibe, even though, look, I'm not working for the CIA or anything like that, but they seem very chill, and I don't think they would put up much resistance at all. That's kind of my vibe on Cuba right there. So that's probably what I think might happen. So we're going to see what happens with that. But that's just something to have on the radar as a next potential move for Trump. So what we can see from this analysis right here is, look, war is going to continue. War funding, government expenditure on war will probably ramp up. You're also going to see, this oil situation very tense. We're in a bit of a volatile patch at the moment. And as a result of that volatility, look, you can see it play out in the financial markets today. Many financial markets will be going down. Primarily, I would think this is tied into this ongoing conflict with Iran, right? So the market is wanting like some type of resolution out of this. We're not getting it, right? So gold we're seeing that double spooky effect with gold. So we've seen this happen before. When the market gets so scared, it sells off in gold, opposed to, appreciating in price, which, historically, that is what gold is supposed to do. So you can see gold right here, $4,500, getting hit with a spooky effect. Same deal is going to be happening with silver, right? And these are assets, I classify these ones as very good in a booming kind of bubbling economy. So when there's lots of money printing, good amounts of inflation like we do have right now, but maybe without the really dark geopolitical risks that we are seeing with the oil supply, that's when silver and gold tend to do very well. But at the moment, you can see right here, silver down at $73, mirroring gold. You can see a bit of a link in right here. And at the moment, look, a lot of the money has been just piling into the S&P 500. It's been piling into the stock market. So the stock market is seen to be a very good absorber of inflation. So those broad kind of index ETFs doing quite well currently. And Bitcoin, climbing a little bit up, but also a little bit of volatility just recently. And, all the eyes of the world are going to be on this oil price. So you can see right here, it's trying to break out. It's, Trump is trying to suppress this, and it's a battle, right? So the longer this goes on, the more volatile things are going to get. And I think, look, the biggest thing is obviously, look, lack of diesel in the world, and also, look, lack of fertilizer, agriculture, all that important stuff we spoke about. I don't think we've really seen the impact of that just yet. But if that does hit, it's obviously going to be very, very bad. Okay, so that is probably the long-term stuff you need to prepare for right now. And guys, that is today's update. So if you got value out of it, like the video. Appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in. Go have a great rest of today. I will see you in the next update.